ear all at the side of me. So there's still nowhere to escape, I'm afraid. So let's get started in our set position. Heels under hips, as I'm sure you know by now, and all 10 toes pointing forwards. Hands just rest by your thighs, and gently squeeze the shoulder blades together and feel like your hands slide down towards your ankles. So straight away you bring a little connection into the upper back to begin with. Now just let your knees be soft and let your weight just come into both feet, and your weight comes down into your heels. Into our pelvic tilts, so a little lift in your bottom, and then gently tucking under with your tailbone. Now as you're starting to move through the lower back, you're trying to keep the length through the upper back, all the way to the crown of the head. So we're keeping our chin tucked in to make sure the head doesn't come forward of the shoulders. You're trying to now use your out breath as you scoop your tailbone under, and the in breath as you release. So it's out through the mouth, and then in through the nose. 2 more, still keeping that little pinch between the shoulder blades. And as we come into our last one, we settle in the centre. So this puts us in our neutral spine, so our hip bones are pointing forwards, and if your back starts to arch, you'll feel the point down to the floor. So as we keep our tuck under, keeps our lower abdominals connected, and it creates a little square here between our ribs and our hips. So we're going to try and maintain that distance between our ribs and our hips as we ease into the shoulder rolls. Now again, sometimes the ribs tend to lift if you've not got enough movement around the shoulders. So keep the shoulder circles as small as you need to, and focus on keeping the back long and the rib cage still. Then you might feel the shoulders are ready to come a little higher. And as you roll the shoulders back and down, almost squeeze the shoulder blades together. That's going to open the front of the shoulders and the chest a little bit more. And this time as you roll them back and down, that should set us in our perfect posture. Thinking about your square here and that space between your ribs and hips, we're going to come into our sways. So knees are soft, tailbones tucked, and you're going to sway forward onto the balls of your feet, but not curling up your toes. And then sway back into your heels. So you're avoiding letting the ribs drop to the hips as you come forward, because that's going to round the back. And you're going to avoid letting the ribs come away from the hips, because that's going to arch into your back. So keep the movements as small as you need to maintain your set position. You're breathing in through the nose as you come forward, and then out through the mouth as you sway back. The shoulder blades are connecting down towards the back of the ribs. And this time as you come forward, you're going to hold, not gripping with your toes. Both arms just float forward without changing the position of your spine, back to the thighs, and sway back. Breath in, breathe out as you're ready to lift the arms, keeping your tailbone tucked. Breath in as the hands come to the thighs, and then breathing out to sway back. Just not that far. It's a little bit hard on the carpet, I'm starting to discover. Now give me 2 more there. And again, as you move the arms now, try and feel the spine doesn't change position. Your shoulders don't rise up towards your ears. And then this time as you sway forward, holding, hands back to your thighs, and that's your last one. Rest in here. Let's move into our side bends. So keeping your neutral spine, so your pelvis is level, and we just start to move through our waist. Again, as we're moving from side to side, the ear stays in line with the shoulder. And you're just aware that you're not letting your chin poke forwards. So keep the chin slightly tucked in. Then think about the hips. You might feel your hips start to want to have a little sway from side to side. So as you're anchoring down to the heels and the balls of your feet, your toes are relaxed, your knees stay soft, and then we're going to ease a little further whenever you're ready. Keep the gentle tuck under with your tailbone, because that's what helps to keep the hips nice and still, as well as keeping a connection into your core. And just give me 2 more there each side. Lengthening as you come into the centre, so you grow tall. And then one last time here. And we're resting in the centre. We do tandem stance next, and we're going to do our rotation through the spine. Big toe, you're trying to make it touch the centre of your front heel. Knees are soft, all 10 toes pointing forwards, and come back into your neutral. Soften the knees, shoulders are down, and then your arms float forward. With the in-breath, you're going to open your right arm, let your eye gaze follow and pause. Now you're going to breathe out and bring it back into the centre. Your left arm, breathing in as you open, keeping the chin tucked in, and then breathing out to come back. So again, you're thinking about lengthening the whole way through. You're constantly pulling up through the back of the neck and the crown of your head. And that's going to allow more space then through your spine and each vertebrae to add that rotation. If you tend to let yourself collapse forward, the spine's not in the best position for that rotation. So again, think about lengthening and just go as far as you comfortably can. And then think about the shoulder, drawing the shoulder blade in towards the spine. Then you're going to focus on your hips, so your headlights are facing forward and you're not allowing the hips to turn as you rotate through your upper body. You're going to do that once more each side. Shoulders are relaxed and down, so no tension through the top of the shoulder. And again, your in-breath as you ease back, and then your out-breath as you close. Hands come down and change feet. So your left foot forward this time. You can take your feet a little wider to help with your balance, or you can bring your feet under your hips if you prefer. Nice and soft with the knees. Let your weight come into both feet. Tuck under with your tailbone so you're back in neutral. Roll into the shoulders, tuck in your chin, and then breathe in as you lift the arms. Breathe out, draw your right arm back. Take a breath in as you come to the centre this time. So you're going to breathe out, draw the tummy in, draw the shoulder back. Now you might feel all your weight drifts into your back foot. So you're going to try and keep that weight even through both feet. Still not trying to grip with your toes. And then lengthen again, become a little bit taller so your spine feels really open. Still feeling the shoulder blades sat down into the back of the rib cage. And as you let your head turn, keep the neck nice and long so you allow lots of rotation to come through your neck at the same time. Nice and slow with the breath. And one more each side. Still gently connecting to your core, so you feel your belly button softly drawn back towards the spine. And then you can float both hands down. Step your feet back together. Definitely harder on the carpet. Let's go into our squats. So your feet just a little wider than your hips. Toes pointing forwards, but if you do have a natural turn out, you can allow the feet to turn a little just to enable the knees to track in line with your toes. So again, we're going to come back to our square. So we've got our tailbone tucked, a little connection between your ribs and your hips. We're just going to go into our squat and we're going to hold here. Without letting the hips rock, you're going to lift your right heel and then you're going to lower. Then you're going to lift your left heel, lower, and then push through both heels as you rise. At the bottom, you might feel that your back arches. So maybe just tucking your tailbone under a tiny bit more before you lift the heels. Chin's nodded in, so again, you've got that nice line through the spine. And you're feeling that your hips move back. Knees in line with toes. Little squeeze between the shoulder blades now, so you not let the ribs collapse down towards the hips. Always holding this square here. Tucking under tailbone to help maintain your square. And then we add in the opposite arm this time. So as you lift your right heel, you're going to lift your left arm just in line with the shoulder. Back into the centre, don't rush. And again, as you transition from one foot to the other, you're trying to make sure the hips don't rock from side to side. So let's go slower. Breathe in through your nose, tailbone tucked. Out through the mouth. In as you lower down, don't let the hips rock. Breathe out, change sides. Gentle breath in, and then breathe out as you rise. Again, in as you tip forward, aware of your square. Breathe out as you lift the opposite arm and the heel. And again, out through the mouth. And gently in through your nose. Press the heels into the floor, squeeze the bottom. And every time you rise, you want to come to that nice, strong, set position. So you're recreating that length from your heels all the way to the crown of your head again. Shoulders are together, so your palms are still faced in towards your thighs. Maybe again, just tucking the tailbone a little more before you lift the heel and the arms. Both heels into the ground and squeeze the bottom as you rise. Let's do 2 more. Think about the neck, don't let the head drop. Keep the chin tucked in. So as you keep the chin tucked in, helps to maintain the length and the engagement through the back of the neck. So not letting those neck muscles go just yet. Tummy drawn towards spine. Nice and strong through your core. And then push down through both heels and squeeze into the bottom. So our lunges for our hip flexor release. Right foot forward and your left foot back. So once you've got this set position, you're going to put your hands on your hips and make sure your hips are square to the front. Now once your leg's back, you may feel that your shoulders coming forward of your hips. So we're going to bend the back knee, we're going to tuck under our tailbone so our hip bones are forward, and then you're going to roll back into the shoulders. We're just going to breathe in, lift the arms, and breathe out to rise. So your back knee lowers to the ground. Now just go as far as you comfortably can, making sure the front knee stays over the heel. And you might feel that front knee wants to gently roll in. So as you gently press the knee out towards the little toe, it's going to keep the muscles down the outer thigh switched on, which helps stabilise the knee as well. Still aware of your neutral spine, so you have your tailbone tucked under. And if it feels too much with the arms coming all the way up to the shoulders, just bring them in line with your chest. You're using your in-breath as you ease down, and the out-breath as you rise. Retuck the tailbone at the top this time. And again, ease down with the back knee and push up out the front heel. 2 more, breathing in. And into your last one. And then step forward or backwards and change legs. Again, you're making sure the feet are hip width. If you stand directly behind that front foot, it's even more wobbly. Square the hips, check the knee, gently rolling out to the little toe. Because if your knee rolls in, your arch will flatten towards the ground. If you push your knee out, it will also lift the arch of your foot and start to strengthen your feet too. Under with the bottom, relax with the shoulders, breathe in, lead with the back knee towards the floor, and then breathe out, crown of your head to the ceiling. Keep the chin tucked in, so again, we've still got the length into the neck. And if that stretch feels too much, lifting the arms to head height, just keep them at shoulder height. And again, we're just looking for a mild stretch each time. It's just going to help to release our hips and make a few more of the movements a little easier, hopefully. Or it just means you can make them bigger. And give me 3 more here. Breathe in, lead with the back knee. Try not to grip with your toes and your left foot. Keep the toes nice and light. And 1 more time. Big breath in. Breathe out and rise. Step together. Good news is the rest of the work we're going to do on the floor. While we've got the hips released, we're going to work with bridges. Because sometimes if the hips are tight, it inhibits the glutes from doing their full range of movement. So we're going to start with our bridge today. Head rested. And you're going to shuffle it and return this way because I still see you all suffer. So from here, you don't want your feet too far away. You want to walk your heels back so your heels are underneath your knees and your knees just hip distance apart. Hands rest down by your thighs. Now from here, you might find you're looking towards the back of the room. So you're going to bring the chin in, so you're lengthening the back of the neck, so your eye gaze is more towards the front. Relax the shoulders down. Start with a neutral spine, so you have a little bit of space here. You're going to breathe in. As you breathe out, you're just going to pull your tummy button down to the floor, so your lower back presses gently into the ground. And you're going to breathe in and come back to neutral. Now you can put your hands on your ribs and feel that your rib cage doesn't flare as you press your tailbone back down to the ground to create your neutral. So you don't want to feel those ribs have popped right up off the floor. So everything from your hip, ribs and above stays nice and still. Breathe out through the mouth, draw the belly button down to the back. So your hip bones are almost pointing up towards your ribs. And you can almost imagine that you're squashing your square, it's hard to say, from the bottom. So the ribs stay still and the hips are gently squeezing up towards your rib cage. Now from here, still keeping your ribs still, You're going to go into your imprint, so your lower back presses to the ground. Then you're going to gently peel each vertebrae off just to your first rib. And then you're going to place each vertebrae down, press into your imprint, and then go back to neutral. And again, this is a really good exercise to do to get movement and mobility through the spine. It just takes a little bit of time and patience. Now you might feel that you've got 2 or 3 vertebrae that lift and lower together. Just try and gently work through that area and try and encourage that segmental control, which means each vertebrae being placed down one at a time. Always harder through the lower back. Let's do that one more time. Try and use the out breath, draw the belly down first, hip bones point up towards your rib cage, ribs still down, and then we're going to go a little higher this time. We're still going to work through segmental control. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out belly button first, roll through the lower back, come to the first rib, and then keep lifting each vertebrae. Now here, we want to recreate our square. So if you let the ribs come too high, you've just worked into your back, and these muscles are lengthened and switched off. So we want to find that equal balance again, and then roll down gently through each vertebrae. Press down for imprint, and then back into your neutral. Breathe in through the nose. As you breathe out, pull the tummy button down. Now just start to be aware of your knees. You don't want your knees to be flaring outwards. Create your square here. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, start from the upper back. Use your tummy muscles to press the lower back down to the floor. And then roll back to your tailbone. Again, imagine that rolling feeling through your back. You can imagine you've got a string of pearls, and as you lift and lower, imagine that you're trying to place each pearl down as individually as you can. And as you do that really slowly with lots of control, especially through the imprint at the bottom, that's where you're going to feel those tummy muscles also starting to work. So just going to do 2 more here, nice and gently. Just mobilising all the way through the spine, aware of your neutral spine here. Now just think about your knees again. If your knees tend to roll outwards when you lift, it just means these outer thighs are a little bit stronger and the inner thighs aren't working as hard as they could. So as you keep your knees in line with your hips, it means the inner thighs are having to work, not only to stabilise the hips, but to give you more stability through your knees too. And then we're going to add in some arm circles. So this time we're going to start with the arms above the shoulders. Now if you want to just work with that movement part, that's absolutely fine. If you're bringing your arms above your shoulders, corkscrew your shoulder blades in so your palms face towards each other. We're just going to circle at the top, taking a breath in. Breathe out, roll up through your spine. Squeeze the bottom and hold here. As you breathe in, without letting the ribs flare, reach the arms back. Bend the elbows, reach to your ankles, and then come back up to the centre and roll back down through your spine. Use the in-breath to prepare. Use the out-breath as you start to rise. Chin staying tucked in, squeeze the bottom. Now don't let the ribs pull away from your hips, so you keep the upper abdominals switched on. Elbows bend, so you pull your shoulder blades down, reach to your ankles, and then simply come back above your shoulders and roll down through the upper back. Try and work the imprint and then back into neutral. We're going to do 4 more there. Use the out breath when you're ready. Weight even in both heels. Squeeze the bottom. Aware the ribs aren't pulling away from your hips. Reach towards the ankles and then lift the arms back, keeping the shoulders pressed down. Press down through the upper back. Can you get your lower back down before your bottom touches the floor? That's your challenge for your next 2. Use the out breath to rise. As you breathe in, reach the arms back, not letting the ribs move. Breathe out, pull your elbows down towards your ribs, fingers to your ankles. Breath in as you lift the arms above your shoulders, and then your vertebrae down one at a time. And your last one. Just that awareness of the knees again, try not to let the knees roll out. Squeeze the bottom, stabilise the hips. And just let your breath come in. Breathe out strongly. Breath in as you lift the arms. And you're going to simply breathe out as you lower back down, one at a time. And then you're going to bring your hands down. Just 5 on each side, single leg bridge, just for more strength. That gives us the mobility. This builds more strength. So you can either lift your right heel off the floor and place all the weight in your left heel, or you can have your right knee above your hip. We're going to still work for that roll, and we're going to do it slowly. So tuck in the chin, reset the shoulders, take a breath in when you're ready, press into your left heel, tilt your pelvis back, roll up through each vertebrae, keeping the knee above the hip if the knee's lifted, and then roll down gently through each vertebrae. You can go straight back up, rolling through your spine, breathing out through the mouth, keep your shoulders and the neck relaxed, and breathing in through your nose. Keep the knee above the hip so it always stays at 90 degrees. And if the foot's on the floor, just keep your toes really lightly rested and really focus on just using your left leg. 2 more, I think. Breathe out with that lift. Squeeze into the bottom so you can get the hips just a tiny bit higher. And then breathe in to release each vertebrae. 1 more time. Hold it. Now if you can, for 3, just extend your legs so your thighs are parallel, and then bring the knee back above the hip. If you start to fatigue and your back starts to sink, just roll back down to your start position. Knee back to 90. Roll down through each vertebrae. Press the lower back to the floor. And then you can change legs. So your right foot comes down. Your left foot lifts, or your knee at 90 degrees. So shin parallel to the ceiling. Reset the shoulders, lengthen back into the neck. Breathe in to prepare. Belly button pulls down first. Roll through the back, up onto the shoulders. Breathe in, making sure the ribs aren't flaring. And then breathe out, try and bring each vertebrae down 1 at a time. In through the nose at the bottom. You always breathe out to initiate the movement because your out breath starts to switch on your core. Again, straight back up with your out breath. Not going too quickly. Still want to feel that roll through the back. Shoulders nice and strong into the floor. So you're not letting the shoulders round off the ground. 1 more time. We're going to add in those 3 leg extensions if you want to. If not, just come down. Squeeze your right buttock. Make sure those hips are level. And then breathe in, extend. Breathe out, knee above hip. Breath in through the nose. Thighs parallel. And then breathe out to bring it back. And then from here, roll. Vertebrae by vertebrae. And rest. Place your feet down. Take your right leg out straight. Reset the shoulders. You're just going to bring your right knee above your hip. Now, we're looking at keeping the pelvis still. Ribs are down. And we're just going to circle the knee around the hip. Now, as you circle your knee, and your knee comes away from your body, you might feel that your opposite hip wants to lift off the ground. So you're going to press your left buttock down to the floor. You're going to breathe in, take the knee out to the side, and then breathe out, bring it back into the centre. Now the shoulders nice and level on the ground. Think about your lower back as your knee comes out to the side. You don't want to feel like your lower back's lifting off the ground. So again, you're making sure your core muscles are strong enough to keep your pelvis and your ribs nice and still. Use the in-breath as you open the knee. And if you want to make this a little harder, you can extend your leg up straight. So you can do leg circles. Breathing in, rolling out to the side, and breathing out to come back into the middle. So you're using the out breath, you should take your leg away from the middle line of your body, because when you use your out breath, your tummy muscles switch on more, and that's going to help to keep the spine and the hips still. Work with a controlled movement. Don't let the leg just swing around. Breathe in as you ease away. And 2 more circles on this side. Your last one. Bend the knee if your leg's straight and bring your foot to the ground. Bring your left foot in, take your opposite leg away, find your neutral again, relax the shoulders and lengthen your neck. Bring the knee above the hip. So again, we're going to circle, bring the knee in towards your chest, take it away from your body. Now try and keep the knee fixed so the movement comes through the hip and you're not straightening and bending your leg. So you've got that fixed position, your knee joint's almost glued. Slow it down. Think about the hips. Is the opposite hip trying to lift off the floor? If so, gently press the hip down a little bit more. Let the breath just flow in through your nose, out through the mouth. You can straighten up that leg if you want to. Make your circles a tiny bit bigger. So there should be nothing in your body moving apart from this leg. No rocking with the hips. No lifting of the shoulders. Making sure the head's not tilting back. Again, you're in a neutral spine, so a little bit of press down with the tailbone. Ribs are gently squeezed down towards the hip, so you're keeping that core nice and tight all the way through. You're holding your square really strong. 2 more circles. And then as you come into your last one, you can bend your knee and place your foot down. Bring the knees in. Bring both knees above your hips. We're now going to move into toe taps. Some more work for your tummy muscles. Hands on your knees and press your shoulders into the floor and then straighten your arms. And that should put the knees at 90 degrees and directly above the hip. Now with the shoulders pressed into the ground, just gently bring your hands down. Now gently draw your belly button down to the back so you feel your lower back's in contact with the ground. Don't let the knee change position. You're going to tap your toe or your heel and then you're going to bring the knee back above the hip, not above the belly. Breathe in, heel or toe, and then breathe out with the lift. Now think about your lower back. As you start to lower your leg, you might feel that your lower back's lifting. If that's happening, don't take the leg as far. It's like finding that bite point on your clutch. That point where you feel the muscles are switched on, but if you go any further, they're going to relax and your back's going to lift. So again, it's listening to your body and really feeling what's happening as the legs are moving. Try not to let the shoulders round up off the ground. Keep drawing them down to the back of the ribs. Now it doesn't matter if your foot doesn't touch the floor. So you can just lower it as much as you comfortably can while keeping the imprint. So maybe just before you lower your leg, pull your tummy button down a little bit more and try and hold it there as your leg lowers. If it starts to lift, just simply bring the leg back in. And again, breathing in as you lower towards the heel or the toe, and out breath with your lift. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And give me 2 more on each side. And again, it's that controlled movement. Losing momentum, so all those deeper muscles are constantly switched on and holding everything in place. And generating lots of heat. One more time. And then place both feet down. Feels nice when you relax the legs. Let's come back to the ribs again. So to hold our ribs and hips in this square position, we need some work from our upper abdominals. If you let the ribs flare, it means the upper part of your six pack has had a little stretch. So we're going to try and keep those ribs and hips gently connected. So once again, you're back in your square. You can bring your arms above your shoulders, corkscrew the hands in, and press both shoulders down into the back of your mat. We're just going to scissor the arms. As you breathe in, one hand towards the ankle and one arm over your head. And then you're going to breathe out and simply bring it back into the middle. Changing direction. Now again, just be aware that your head hasn't tilted back, so you're not looking behind the head. You've still got the chin nodded in. And as your arm reaches back overhead, just making sure the ribs don't come along with the arm. So you can almost think about pinning the ribs down, and then as the arm goes back, taking it back as far as you can, before you feel the back of your ribs pop off the ground. So again, it's nice and slow. You're breathing in as you open the arms, and then you're breathing out with a lift. Now you're going to make your feet just a little bit lighter, as if they're resting on eggshells. So you're not pushing through your feet to stabilise the trunk of your body. Now we're going to add in the legs again. So I have a 2-directional pull. If you need less, when you scissor your arm, as your right arm goes back, you can just simply slide your left leg away, and then you can come back into the centre. Or, a little bit more challenging, it's coming back to those toe taps. Knees again, above hips, shoulders into the ground, tummy button gently drawn to the back. So you're going to tap your toe, don't straighten your leg. Breathing in, tap your left foot as your right arm reaches back, and then breathe out with the lift. So in this one, we're not only working on the lower abdominals to keep the lower back in imprint, we've got a 2-directional pull. The arms, as they go back, are trying to pull your ribs away from your hips, but you're trying to maintain that little squash of your square. Try not to bring the knees back above the belly. So again, it just settles above the hip. Keeping the chin nodded in all the way through. Now again, feel the imprint. Breathe in as you open. Now breathe out to close. Slow it down. So you can use your breath with your movement. Slow breath in here. And start to breathe out with the mouth with a lift. If you need less, just bring your feet to the floor and work with that heel slide, still trying to keep the trunk of your body super still. If you're working with a heel slide, as your foot comes onto the ground, it's back on your eggshell, so you're not pushing through the foot to stabilise as your opposite leg moves. Just give me one more on each side, so you're 2 left. Breathing in as you open, out to close. And that last one, nice and strong through your midsection. And then rest. Hug your right knee into your chest. Gently draw the knee back and extend your left leg out. You're trying to let your left heel lower to the floor, but if it doesn't quite get there, it's fine. Pull the shoulders into the ribs. Tuck in the chin again. And then change legs. So just drawing the knee into the chest, lowering the opposite foot down towards the floor. You can let the heel rest and gently draw the left knee in a little bit more. We're going to alternate the legs, but we're not going to rest the heel down this time. So you're going to draw the knee in, push one leg away, and then the opposite side. Now again, if you want to bring the work back into your upper abdominals, you can lift your head and your shoulders. You're keeping your chin tucked in, so your eye gaze is towards your knees. And now you're going to flex your foot and lower the heel towards the ground. Now if your leg just stays here, that's absolutely fine. It's more important to try and get the leg straight. It's a little harder to get the leg straight and lower it down to the floor. But again, as you're working in this position with your head and your feet lifted, you've got a soft imprint. So you've got that connection between your lower back and your mat. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Flex the foot at the end. So it's like you're lowering your heel towards the ground. Let's give a little bit more stretch into the hamstrings. 2 more on each side if you can. Rest if you need to. Out breath nice and strong. And then you can hug in both knees. You can tuck in your chin and you can take a roll up if you can. If you can't roll up, just come to seated the best way you can. From here, more movement through our back with a little twist. So we can have both arms in line with the shoulders. Once you've got your arms in line with the shoulders, you want to make sure the back hasn't rounded, so your shoulder blades haven't separated. So you're going to pull the shoulders down. We're going to breathe in, come back to a C shape, so you're scooping and hollowing your abdominals. You're going to reach one arm back, and then into the centre, and then the other arm back, and into the centre. Now if you don't like this one for any reason, you don't like the twisting, you can just simply stay in the centre and just create a curve of the spine and then lift your chest up. So you just get an extension and flexion through the back. If you're happy with that rotation, to make it a little bit more challenging. Why not? So as your right arm pulls back, your right leg can extend. You're squeezing the thighs, so your legs stay parallel, and your knees are always in line with each other, so the leg doesn't drop. If you need to, you can lean back a little bit further. You can take your feet further away, so it's not a very big lift. Squeeze the thighs, you extend. If you need to rest at any point, take a rest, and you can come back into the centre whenever you're ready. Breathe in as you open, and out to close. Feet lightly on the floor, so you're not pressing into that foot. And give me 2 more on each side if you can. You don't have to use the legs, so you can just work with the arms. You can take a rest if you need to. You've got 1 left on each side if you can. And then from here, hold onto your knees, tuck in your chin, and come forward and just take a little slump. So you're going to tuck your chin in, draw your belly button gently towards the spine. And then from here, we're ready for a plank or 2, maybe 3 today, who knows. Let's take our feet behind. So we're going to really focus on our plank position. When you think about that square again between your ribs and hips, if we come into a plank and our back's arching, the muscles here are tight and the ones here are lengthened. So what we need to find when we're in our plank position is that equal balance and our square again here. So before we begin, we're going to make sure we're not holding through the shoulders. So your elbows are directly under your shoulders and you're going to roll the shoulder blades back. And you're making your neck a little longer. Feet to hip distance and you're going to stay on your knees. Breathe in. As you breathe out, lift your belly button off the floor and now feel like it's your belly button that's pulling your hips up off the ground. Now at any point if you feel like your belly sags and sinks to the floor, you either need to retuck your tailbone or come down. Think about the head, just not allowing the head to drop below the shoulders, pulling the shoulder blades back. I feel like you're lengthening, you're pulling your tailbone back to your heels and you're pulling the crown of your head forwards. We're just going to hold here for another 10 seconds. Again, if you start to feel the arch coming into your back, try and lengthen that lower back or just rest. 5 more seconds. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And gently lower the hips down. I think it's going to be 3 today. 3's today's number. So this time we're going to try and lift up onto our toes if you can. If not, just stay on your knees. So the shoulders are set first. Back of the neck nice and long. Breathe in. Draw the belly button up to the back. And imagine somebody's got a piece of string and they're pulling you up from your belly button. Hips come in line with shoulders. Tuck under your toes. And if you can, lift the knees, squeeze your thighs. And if this makes the back arch and sink, then come back to the knees. So you can have your knees lightly down on the floor. You're breathing in, pulling the crown of your head forwards. You're going to hold again for 3, 2, 1. Bring your knees down first, then lower onto your thighs. Hips come down and release all the way down. We'll add in some leg movement this time. As we add in a little bit of leg movement, you're going to try not to let the hips rock from side to side. I've changed the number from 3 to 4. It's 4 today. So elbows back under your shoulder. Let's just go back to the knees. So you've learned each movement and you've got lots of options to work with. So again, if the back's arched, belly button lifts. Tuck under your toes. Take a breath in. Breathe out. We're just going to do 4 on each side. Press the heel back and then breathe in, bring the knee down lightly. Without letting the hips rock, extend the opposite leg. And again, just be aware the head hasn't dropped below your shoulders. Breathe in as you ease the knee down and breathe out to push back. And again, squeeze the front of your thigh. Softly down with the knee, rest if you need to. I think if my counting's correct, which is not always guaranteed, you have 1 left on each side. And then lower your thighs down to the floor. roll onto the hips and release. So I'm guessing you've all worked out what's coming next. We're going to do it on our toes and we're going to work with knee drops, but I'm not going to be cruel. We're going to do 2 on each side with the knee drops. If you prefer, you can stay with those knee lifts. I think my dog's 45-minute alarm clock's just gone off. So roll the shoulders back, lift the hips. Draw your tailbone to your heels and tuck under your toes, stay here, or lift your knees. You're going to lightly tap your right knee and then you're going to lift your left knee. No rocking with the hips. 1 more. Breathe in as you ease it down, out with the lift, both knees down, thighs down, and just melt all the way down. Move your bum. Okay, when you're ready, a little stretch to the front of the hip. You're going to reach your right hand back and take the outside of your right foot. Now you might feel here that your knee's coming out to the side, so you're going to try and bring your knee in, line with your hip. Try and roll your right shoulder down to the floor. Rest your head if you can. Now once you've got a hold of your foot, try and draw your tailbone down towards your heel. And you get that feeling of your belly button just drawing away from the floor. And when you get that, you're going to get more stretch through the front of your hip as well. So nice big breath in. Breathe out, draw the tailbone back again. Gently squeeze the heel in towards the bottom if you can. Not to a point of pain, just to where you've got a nice-ish mild stretch. And then change sides when you're ready. So let the foot go. Bring your right hand forward. Take your left hand back. Take the outside of your foot if you can. If you can only hold on to your trousers or your trainer, that's fine. You can just gently pull back with that. But you don't let your hips twist. So try and press your hip bones evenly back towards the ground. Once you've got a hold of your foot, bring your left shoulder back down towards the floor so it's not making your back twist. Now draw your tailbone to your heel. Feel like your belly button's just gently drawing up towards your spine. Breathing in. And then breathe out, gently squeeze the foot in a little bit more if it's available. If it's hurting too much, just stay with that mild stretch, don't force it. And then we can all relax. We can let the foot go. We can bring the hands in, squeeze the elbows back, push through the heels for your hands, come up onto your knees. Just a little wag of our tails. So your hands under your shoulders, bring your body weight forward and come into your neutral spine again. So there's no movement of the ribs. You're just going to gently wag your tail so your hips gently rock from side to side, but you're not allowing the ribs to move or the shoulders. So you're just opening your lower back. You feel like your right hip squashes up towards your right rib, and then your left hip gently pulls up towards your left rib. Good luck if you get it to your right rib. Keep the head and ears, shoulders in line, and just do a couple more on each side. It's a really small controlled movement, but really good for that lower back. And then once more. And then when you're ready, from your centered position, toes under, lift the knees, and just allow yourself to step forward. Now you can bring your elbows onto your thighs, lift the belly up to the back, and let the head just gently hang down. Or you can bring your hands down towards your toes. You might need to bend your knees a little, and you should feel a stretch down the back of your thighs. If you want to encourage that stretch, but not to the point of pain, you can start to straighten the legs a little bit more. Again, you can have your elbows on your thighs, but wherever you are, you keep drawing your belly button up to your back so your lower back stays supported. Now if you've got your hands on the floor, you can either let the arms hang, or you can just walk your hands back up your shins. Might need a little bit of assistance as we roll back up. Tuck under your tailbone as soon as you can. And then restacking through the spine, bringing the head up and bringing the shoulders back and down. We should all feel a little bit taller. Definitely well stretched out this morning. Give your shoulders a nice big release. Open up the chest. And then give yourselves a clap, ladies and gents. Very well worked for our new surroundings. Thank you.